here. Lou's been with Scio for a long time. For some of you people that are new on the board, he's helped out tremendously with the roads in Scio, and he's going to kind of give us an update coming up. We'll get through the minutes, but we got one guest here, Lou, and that's he's on the line. You see him up there. All right. Minutes from the last meeting. Go ahead and take a look at those. We sent those out before, and just see if there's any updates, changes to make. Again, with the new Opens Meetings Act, which was kind of interesting, we are required to put the minutes from this meeting on the Scio website 8 days afterwards, even if it's a draft. And then at the next meeting, we'll update and approve it. So that's kind of one of the changes with COVID and the Open Meetings Act. We'll get our minutes on a little bit faster than before. Before we'd wait for the whole board to approve it, but now they want the draft on there, and then if there's any changes, we'll update that. So, any questions or anything on the minutes? Got a motion to approve the minutes as is?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Mark. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Minutes approved. All right. Special report, old business. Anything there? I think we got some new business and discussion items here, so I think a lot of those are on the agenda already. DDA's chair report. I really don't have anything. We'll get into it, but we have been, with the changes going on, we have been a little more busier than we were the last few years. The last few years, we've been just saving for the potential phase 3 project on Jackson. So Will and the other trustees are looking at some other projects for us to help. So if we can help and it's better for Scio, we're going to do it. So we have been between the meetings, there has been some issues that's come up, and we'll go through those again. Will, you got anything to add? Township report?
I'm looking ahead on the agenda. I think most of the items that I would report on are also items later on the agenda. So maybe I'll just hold off and save what I have to say until we get to those items.
Okay. All right. So we'll get right to the new business. So letter A, road improvements as Park is the Washtenaw Road Commission Annual Report Maintenance Program. So Will, do you want to just explain what that is, and then we'll get Lou in there?
All right. Well, this is like a test because Lou is sort of like the professor of roads for Scio Township. So, in a nutshell, the Washtenaw County Road Commission has a matching fund program on an annual basis for each township in Washtenaw County. They put up a certain amount of money based on some formula, and they say this is what's available for projects, and they provide a list of projects that they sort of nominate to be sort of shared projects with the township, so we each year go through. Always there's a dust control program for the unpaved roads, but there's also other projects, and they may be in neighborhoods or they may be in the business district. In this instance, the roads committee, which Lou and I both serve on, has nominated 2 projects for a part of this annual local roads maintenance program with the Washtenaw County Road Commission within the DDA district. So one of them is finishing up a project on April Drive, and that's actually a relatively small cost. That's just putting on kind of a final coat on a sort of a road on maintenance, really. The other one is a major project, and this is I think we view it as sort of one of what we hope will be sort of a series of kind of side roads off of Jackson Road that the DDA and the township would sort of partner on. It's Enterprise Drive, and the idea is that it would this would be this year we would use we would sort of put this forward as a joint project and take advantage of the matching funds offered by the Road Commission to repave Enterprise Drive. So it would crush the existing asphalt that's there, sort of resurface, sort of regrade, and then put down fresh asphalt for the entirety of Enterprise Drive. Have I summarized that correctly, Lou?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give you an A.
All right, good.
So in the past, we have helped out with some side roads, and again, Lou's right, like they all need some kind of repair. They're all in disrepair. It's just how to pay for it and how much are we going to help versus, the funding, because every road some have more businesses on it than less, some are longer, shorter, all that kind of thing. So Lou, did you come up with some kind of, idea of how to fund this project as far as Enterprise Drive?
Well, there are a number of options. If I can take you back a little in history, when we first did that, there were 9 roads or groups of roads. The first 2 we did were Jackson Plaza and April Drive. And that was back in 2007 and 8. And the DDA paid for the entire project. The 2 together were about $280,000. And then the township established a special assessment district for each of those, and was for half of that price. So the DDA paid the entire $280,000. The owners along the 2 roads paid back $140,000 over 5 years, and it was done kind of the statute doesn't say how you determine assessments. So on Jackson Plaza and April Drive, we actually established a method where it was 1/3 by parcel, 1/3 by frontage, and 1/3 by assessed valuation. And I think the major reason for that is that Gelman owned a piece of land with a lot of acreage, but very small frontage on Jackson Plaza. And I think at the time people were looking for ways for Gelman to pay a fair share. And if we did it by parcel, it was going to pay a very small percentage. So that $140,000 is collected as in a fund at the township, and it's really township general fund funds. But the DDA, I've come before you guys at least 4 times over the past 10 years, and each time the members of the DDA would say, well, that's really DDA money. We'd like you to spend it on the DDA. So we actually went ahead with 3 other projects along the way with the DDA. One was Parkland Plaza, Little Lake Drive, Heisler Court. And then the next one was Jackson Industrial and Interface Drive. And the third one was Newman Drive. So that leaves us with 4 of the original 9 groups of roads. Still, that nothing's been done. They're basically in poor condition. That's North Stabler, Meddy, Enterprise, and Dino. And we've been thinking of some way that we could bring those into the 21st century. For a while, we saw as a opportunity. The Road Commission put all 4 of those potential projects, and they estimated the cost of each one. And the amount of the matching that the Road Commission has allotted this year to Scio is right around 90,000. I think it's maybe 89 something, which meant we had to find $188,000 in projects in order to capture the 89,000 that they were allotting to us. So the only one that really worked out of the group was Enterprise Drive. So we basically put April Drive and Enterprise Drive together, and they've estimated the cost at, I think it was 240, Will. I don't have that in front of me, but
Yeah, that's about the quote I got last time too.
yeah, but as I understand it, Bob, you guys got a bid from Cadillac
Yeah,
to do Enterprise Drive for considerably less than that, maybe somewhere around 200.
I think
And
their
your bid,
number was 228, 228,400 for
Well,
Enterprise Drive.
that was the
that
last.
was the bid that you got?
That,
Bob?
that's what the Washtenaw County Road Commission's price was.
228, all right. But the,
The 90K matching funds, is that just for the DDA area or is that all of Scio?
oh, it's all of Scio. We could use it any way we wanted.
Right.
But you have to do it with a road commission project. So we actually looked at a number of other possibilities along the way. Enterprise Drive made the most sense to us. And that's why we've proposed doing it. Look at it as an upgrade that would be very beneficial to the township, just as the upgrade of Jackson Road itself was very beneficial to the township.
Yeah.
In fact, you guys,
I saw Jackson Plaza's getting done. Who's paying for that?
the people on Jackson Plaza, that was the owners on it paid half. The DDA paid the whole bill, and the
I mean,
owners paid back half.
It looks like it's getting done right now.
Hmm?
Looks like it's getting done right now. Like they chewed up the asphalt around there.
Since that time on Jackson Plaza, we've done the township has paid for a chip seal and fog seal on Jackson Plaza and on April Drive, and we're coming back this year with another fog seal on
Okay.
April Drive. April Drive gets a lot of abuse when the car carriers come in and either make the turn at the cul-de-sac or turn into the to the car dealerships. It really puts a lot of pressure on the asphalt.
Yeah, and again, all these spots along the DDA, we've helped. We thought about putting together a formula that we could offer all the groups, but every project is a little different.
Yep.
But I think if we take a couple of these a year and help out, I think that's doable. I know Maureen's been, had some concerns about these projects and how to fund them, but I think this is one way to help out the DDA area, to help the businesses, and in turn will help, raise taxes in the area, get good businesses in the area, and help out everybody. It's, we're not picking winners and losers, we're doing it for everyone. So, but how to fund it. And I think in general, I kind of like that 50-50 formula. But what does anybody else think? Maureen?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, Bob. My only concern again was that it wasn't consistent in the
Yeah.
past.
Because again, Parkland Plaza, I think Maureen's in the businesses there to pay 100% for that. Right, Lou?
Yes, they paid for it all. Just so that you'll know, the township has a policy where they offer a certain amount of cash up front. It's not a lot. So for that particular project, I think the allotment from the township up front was $12,000. On top of that, the township does all the administrative work to actually get Act 188 done, which is fairly considerable. And then lastly, the township said, okay, if we do this project, we'll do the maintenance thereafter. So on each of these projects, both Jackson Plaza, April Drive, Parkland Plaza, Little Lake, Jackson Industrial, and Interface, and Newman, we've done crack sealing ever since, usually every 2 or 3 years, and we're doing it again this year. So the township, we've tried to be partners in all of this. To me, didn't make any sense to have this first world road, Jackson, Road, Jackson Boulevard, and then have third world side roads, which is basically what we ended up with along the way, because we just didn't pay attention to those. And when I first came to the DDA early on, maybe it was 2013 or 12 or 13, it was basically, hey, did you hear the Great Recession? We got to meet our bonds, and we don't have money to do this. I'm going to assume that things are financially better for the DDA now.
Yeah, you're assuming correctly.
Yeah.
And we did though, we saved the money. Again, phase 3 was potentially going to happen down Jackson Boulevard. And sounds like we're going to put that on the burners for now. So
Well,
go ahead.
so I was gonna interject. So what we're talking about, if we are using the Washtenaw County Road Commission's figure, and I did send to Jim Harmon at the Washtenaw County Road Commission the quote that you got, Bob, last year from Cadillac Asphalt for the Enterprise Drive project, and asked him to respond to it. So he's going to get back to me, and it's possible we could, negotiate that down. I don't know. It is the road commission after all. But let's assume that their number stays their number. Then half of that would be 114,200.
That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. A number around 100 grand that we could help out with potentially. Lou, like, when do you think it would be done if we said, we told road committee, would it be done, before the winter? Would it be next year?
Cadillac, the people that I talked to at Cadillac are the people that actually do this work, and they say they can put us on the schedule for this year.
Good.
And I drove down Enterprise just to refresh my memory about the condition of the road, and it is very bad. And so I think, part of the thinking behind this, and I think this is sort of, this will be sort of intuitive to the members of the DDA board, but if we can make that that business park of Enterprise Drive, if we can make that more attractive, then the idea is that it sort of acts as a motivator for reinvestment, and then and in turn will generate increased tax revenue for the DDA.
So a match, you think a match would be 114,000?
114,000 would be that would be based on the road commission's number.
We've done some engineering before, paid for some engineering costs. Lou, is that set? Do we got to pay another engineer 30%?
Who knows what's behind a figure from the road commission? I'm always a little distrustful. They tend to I give you an example, and this is kind of beware. There's when we did paved North Delhi, where it goes from the river up the steep hill and eventually to the east entrance into Loch Alpine. We actually estimated as part of our township-wide special assessment district that was going to cost $700,000, that project. And it turns out the winning bidder, it was $700,000, 702, I think. But the road commission tried to add 150 grand in engineering for this, and that got me pretty upset. Who knows how much is for actually what they're going to pay Cadillac. Cadillac will end up doing this. They have the asphalt job for the township and for the city of Ann Arbor, and they'll always have it because they've got the nearest asphalt plant.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how much of this is profit for the road commission. I couldn't tell you that. We've asked them, Will has given them the bid that you got and said, what's the difference? And we got back some, maybe it's because we're going to remove some berm. Maybe it's because we're going to replace a culvert. But he did say, I think, Will, didn't he tell you that he's going to talk to the people who did the estimating?
I'm sorry, I got frozen out there for a minute, so I missed the first part of what you were saying, Lou.
Well, it's just you brought it the attention to Jim Harmon. You brought the attention of the difference in prices, and his answer to you was basically, well, we'll look at it.
Yeah, so there's no guarantee that we'll be able to negotiate down the road commission price.
What about if we went to the actual road commissioners themselves and made our case that these are public roads, these are not private roads. And the road commission, we're taking it on for them to pay the cost of doing these roads. The least they could do is give us a break on the engineering.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the problems is that there are two types of roads, public roads. One, they're called primary. That would be Jackson and Zeeb and Wagner and Maple. The others are called local. And there's a provision of the statutes that govern the road system that say that the road commission can't pay all of a local road, a project on a local road. It has to have a match, either from the local jurisdiction or presumably some sort of other source, private source. And that's the excuse they've given us for all of our local roads is the reason they don't do anything is they can't do it all. So we
Right,
did
but can we go to the road commissioners and petition that at least they do the engineering at cost and don't look at it as a profit center?
Godspeed with that.
I mean, I know
No,
Doug, Doug Fuller, I could call him.
Yeah, there are now 5 members of the road commission. The 2 newest ones, I don't know. And so I don't know where they'd stand on this sort of thing. We haven't, in the past, Scio Township has not been particularly successful in getting the road commissioners to change any policy.
Right?
But I
Maureen,
think,
I
it's
think
worth
what
a
we could
try.
do is just limit our contribution to either the 114, no more than that, unless we all get together and vote again, then we cannot. So if they did jack 30% on top of engineering fees, that'd be Will's problem, not ours.
Well, I don't think they're going to go up in the price, but if we can, we'll try and get them to come down in the price. So if the DDA board were to authorize up to 114,000 and we can get them down from their current quote, then we would use less than 114,000 of DDA funds. It would only be half of whatever the road commission's price was.
And then did we make any, in the past, we made contact with some business owners down there, and I know quite a few of them. They see the roads, they know, that they might have to kick in some. Have we asked or put together a letter, some kind of contribution? I like to have everybody have a little skin in the game.
We could do a letter asking for a contribution from the businesses there. I hesitate to do a full-fledged special assessment district because I've had enough experience now with special assessment districts to know just how much work is involved and how much time is involved. And if we want to take advantage of the road commission matching funds and get this done in this construction year, and that road really is crying out for repaving, then I think, knowing what I know of all of the things that are sort of in the, sort of in front of the Board of Trustees, including another major SAD project, I would hesitate to go down that path.
Yeah, it is possible under Act 188 to, I think, I mean, I'd bow to a superior legal mind on that one, but I have a fair amount of experience with it. I think it's possible to even do it as a post-project SAD. We might be able to do that next year, to go to the owners and say, hey, we did this project. The DDA did this much of it. We'd like you to do this much of it. Here's the SAD we're proposing. I don't know, Will. I mean, I'm just saying, I think the statute would permit that.
So it's an option.
But in the past, I know we've talked to those business owners and they know it's coming, so, but I agree with
What
you. If
about
we
a-
have the money from the road commission this year.
Right.
well, let's use that, so.
Yeah, and the reason we went with enterprise first is that the others are less compelling. So much of Medi is undeveloped. And if you do a paving project now and the development goes ahead, you know the construction vehicles will end up tearing it up significantly. And we're not sure. I mean, we have a problem with Dino in that there's a major steel hauling business at the end of it, and any paving project that you do is going to have to take that into account. There'll be stress.
Yeah.
And we're not sure what the township has in mind for North Stabler.
Hey, Lou, is Dino Class A or Class B road? That was Class B.
It is a local road. And yes, it's Class B.
So I guess these people at the end, it's combined metals. Have they been hauling overweight? Is that what's happening to the road? In which case, it's their
That's my
responsibility.
guess. I don't know whether they'd argue with me, but that's what it looks like to me.
Maybe the road commission needs to check their weights. I don't know.
You know, the guy, he knows he's got to pay for the road, so they actually load their trucks right in the road.
I know,
So
right in front of our new nature preserve entrance.
So they'll turn it around and load right on. They don't even load it in their facility. They load it right on the road. So he knows it's coming. I don't think we're gonna have a problem down there.
These road commission funds, are they gonna be there every year? Is this a 1-year only deal?
It comes every year, Maureen. And fact is, for
'Cause
very.
they didn't do it for Parkland, so is this something new that they're
Um,
putting funds in?
Yeah, every year they allot so much for road repair and for drainage. And this year it happened to be 89,000. One of the problems is in the last 2 years, both 2019 and 2020, we didn't use it. Township never got around to it. So we left money on the table.
You left money on the table, right?
I came in late. Are we talking about the capture from the millage, or are we talking about the splits?
That's money from Washington Road Commission directly for projects that they see, possible in Scio, and then Will and the board would pick those projects.
Is it Lou? Is it the maintenance split, or is this from the capture from the?
No,
The road-
it's
the road
a
millage.
maintenance split. It's coming out of Act 51 funds, and the road commission decides we're gonna devote, $750,000, into this fund. They call it a matching fund, and they
Mhm.
tell each township, this is, what we'll give you if you can, if you're willing to do one of these projects.
And it's not to DDA, it's to the township, right?
No, it's for the township, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because what about our capture? We've been talking about that too. Our capture from that we get from the millage.
For the DDA capture?
Yeah, don't we get an annual well for on the 10-year millage for the roads?
Oh, that's a question for Sandy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what the time frame is, but yes. The the county levied a countywide road millage, and yes, we do capture that.
And I mean, because it was like 80, didn't we have like $80,000 over 2 years or something that we used for caulking the roads up on Jackson Road? The road commission came to us and asked us if they could have it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but we could use it somewhere else in the district other than just saying, here, yeah, we'll give it to you for maintenance. Just saying.
That's above my head. I haven't got poked my head into that anthill.
But I like the idea of starting with Enterprise Drive and then looking at these other projects and helping out in the DDA. You know, we got a lot to get to. Is there any other questions for Lou right now? I mean, I kind of like to make a motion to approve 114, and we limit it at that. We limit it at 114 to help with the Enterprise Drive project, get matching funds hopefully from Washtenaw. Have Maureen call everybody down there, that I'll give them an earful, see if we can get the numbers down a little bit, and then look at the other projects going forward. But I think it's wise to use the matching funds during this calendar year while we have it. And if we keep on seeing matching funds and we don't use it, they're going to stop offering it to us. So.
But I have to ask again, so this is not just in the DDA district, this could be used anywhere township wide, right?
That's exactly right, Jay. Yes.
And Jay, just to be clear, at the beginning, I explained that.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. One of the other projects that the township board has already approved is the annual dust control program.
Okay.
That doesn't really impact the DDA very much because most of the roads in the DDA are paved. But
I just want to make sure we weren't cutting those people out. Yeah, that was my concern because I know that's a big deal for the trustees. Yeah. Okay.
I think what
my
happened.
only concern before we vote on this is that the business owners on Enterprise Drive are not going to have to put up any money for their own roads. So I don't know that we're setting a bad precedent by the DDA coming in with the whole matching funds.
Well, you're doing basically the outlay from the DDA is basically what you did for both Parkland Plaza and April Drive.
No, Parkland didn't get anything.
Not Parkland Plaza, I'm sorry, Jackson Plaza and April Drive.
Right. So we got zero, and Enterprise is getting 100%. That's the problem I have.
Maureen, but if DDA doesn't have to come up with anything, if this is kind of like if we don't use it, we'll lose it kind of a concept. Is that what I'm hearing?
But why don't we go after Enterprise Drive at least to do half of the matching? So we put up 57,000 and they put up 57,000. And then we get the matching funds that way. Why does the DDA have to put up the whole?
Where are we going to spend the balance of it though, Maureen? I mean, if we don't want to, because I don't know if we can tackle Medi Drive along with it. And the other thing is you have to remember that at DDA, I think the whole Enterprise Drive district is ready for redevelopment. I see, and if this would enhance redevelopment, it's to our benefit from our tax incremental revenues to do it. I mean, although I totally agree with Maureen that Parkland Plaza got totally screwed by having to pay their own in an SAD.
The property owners would be paying in a sense because of, as they improve their properties there on Enterprise Drive, then they'd be paying the higher taxes.
Yeah, but it's capped at whatever inflation is.
But
It's already there.
Maureen, it's not perfect. It's not perfect.
We get 10 points off the top of that though, roughly. It depends on which school district they're in, but I mean, we get a portion of that back to the DDA.
Right, because that's in the DDA district, Enterprise Drive, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. If their taxes go up, your share goes up.
Well, what's it cost to do an SAD? I mean, does it take work wise? I mean,
well, it's a heavy lift. There's a series of public hearings. You have to have a certain amount of notification time for each public hearing. So it spreads out the process. If it was as easy as just sort of putting it on the agenda at one meeting and sort of doing it, that would be one thing. But part of what we're operating with here is a time constraint. if we want to get this included this year. And we have to respond to the road commission on this matching maintenance agreement by May 22nd. So we're sort of operating with several different time constraints, including the construction season. But I hear Maureen's complaint. I understand. And in my, I obviously wasn't involved back then when the Parkland Plaza paving decisions and funding decisions were being made. But I hear you. I know one thing is that we're not doing an SAD. We're not looking to the property owners for the new sidewalk, the cost of putting in the new sidewalk that's going to be built along Parkland Plaza this summer, where we've come up with other funding sources for that, although the DDA is one of those funding sources.
So this is no DDA funds, correct?
For the enterprise drive?
Right.
Well, part of it would be DDA funds. And
We're gonna vote on that.
Yeah,
Just to help out.
yeah. So the idea is hopefully that this could be sort of the first of the rest of these 4 drives or side roads off of Jackson that the township and the DDA could partner on. That's the intent. And enterprise seems like the good, really the best one to sort of go forward with at this time.
So is there any other questions? We're gonna go ahead and, go ahead.
No question. But to the point of next year or at a future date, we're going to reach out to the people that work or the business owners to contribute. Is that part of the process? Is that a standard thing where unfortunately right now we can't get their money today because we'll lose out on the 90,000 match? Is it a communication to say, hey, next year we're going to reach out for a range of, I don't know, 15 to 20 grand or something, whatever it is. So we don't set a precedence that we're always doing this, that the business owners still have to contribute.
The township would have to clear my understanding of Act 188, that we could actually do it as a post-project special assessment district. I don't know that. I confess to being a lawyer, but in my days of practice, I really never got to that question. So we'd have to run that by the township attorney, but I don't see anything in the act that would keep us from doing that. Coming back to the owners on Enterprise Drive next year and saying, hey, we did this project and your share of it, we're asking it to be this. And I don't know. I've approached the owners on Enterprise Drive before, and mostly I got, kind of hesitation. And of course, there are a number of properties in there where it was going through changes of ownership. So I can't tell you. I don't see anything in the statute that would keep us from doing that.
Well, I can commit on my own part to pursue that. I know that this year it's not going to be possible for us to push through an SAD in any kind of timely way to get this project done.
Right.
So we've got a lot to get to still. We've been 40 minutes on this. But I would, make a motion that we approve $114,000 with a possibility of having the business owners help out. Well, we can look into that too. For Enterprise Drive to get it hopefully completed in this year, 2021.
I'd like to add that's to make clear that that's not DDA funds, that's our Washtenaw County Road Commission.
Well, Jay, you came out late. The project, and we got that bid last year, was about 230. So we would be paying for half of it from the DDA's sources.
Gotcha.
Question,
Go ahead.
Bob, is that the county doing the work or putting it out to bid?
My understanding is that the county brings in a contractor, it's almost always the low bidder is Cadillac Asphalt.
And I guess I have a couple of concerns. One is that the county's acting as a business with profit, as a public entity. Well,
I know you kind of got to get used to it. It really,
I mean, that's we're already paying the taxes. Now they're
They're always involved.
and then paying an SAD after the fact. I wouldn't be a happy camper. By the way, here's a gut punch after the fact. Up front here, this is what we're doing. This is what your cost is. This is how it's going to happen. And then you might not have a choice, but the after the fact thing is kind of a.
can we make it? Can we make it contingent on Enterprise Drive approving? I guess it would have. Well, we'll see. It doesn't have time for
Timing.
SAD.
Timing's horrible.
Yeah.
I would like, as soon as, if we did agree to this, we can get a letter out to them saying that, we're looking at this project. We might do an SAD. We'd like X amount maybe from each business, do a percentage of it. I think you'd be surprised. Lou's been beating them up for a while down there, and they know it's coming. So I think if we do it and I agree with you, Mark, you don't want to do it on the back end. But we would notify them even before the project starts.
Maureen had suggested contacting the business owners up front, and I think actually that makes sense. Maybe that would address Mark's concern as well. If we do a letter to them saying this project's coming, I mean, we need a letter anyway to let them know that this is coming, and say that, because of the timing, we had to move forward on this, but we are considering coming back to the property owners, to pay a share of the cost of this.
And they do benefit from it because they're not getting the full brunt of it, the full cost. So at some level, they are ending up better for it.
Yeah.
So again, the proposal would be, go ahead, Maureen.
I was just gonna say the timing of it. I can understand where Will's coming from. Right now, we got the money in hand. We got to use it or we lose it. So maybe we just go ahead and pass this one with the 114,000, but we need to somehow make it clear in the future that we have to come up with a percentage that we pay and that the owners pay, and if we get extra help, that's fine. But if we don't, the DDA needs to make it clear that we're not putting the whole bill.
Right.
And
So I would support this motion just to get it done because, the money's there. You don't want to lose it.
And it was
Is that
interesting.
a second?
Yeah, that would be a second.
Go ahead, Mark. Comments?
No, I was just going to say, well, Lou brought some interesting information. We were talking before about what our parameters are, guidelines for assistance without favoring one area over another, and just how they had done. What was it? Jackson Plaza previous in April. Were those the two that we paid half, and then the other half was the SAD.
Yeah.
So for the future, moving forward, that's kind of we were talking engineering assistance before. So just another option and history of what's been done to be consistent.
Back to Maureen's point, and then that Parkland Plaza DDA paid none.
Yeah, I'm getting more information.
Maureen's situation was bad. We all know that. But going forward, and we did, we're going to move on, but we did look at, and we'll come up with some kind of like program to figure out funding and where it's equitable in all these situations. But for now, I think we should use the assets that are given to us and get this project forward. So I would make a motion that we send letters first to everyone in the business, see if we can get some help, maybe directly from some business owners. And then we fund this project for 2021 and let them know that this is not going to happen in every side feeder road. So it's not we're not setting precedent going forward. So we got two, so Mark and Maureen made the second. So all those in favor going ahead with $114,000 towards the enterprise project, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Lou.
And we'll follow up with Lou. We'll get a little bit more information at next meeting about which, I've done it too, which roads are the worst and which ones to prioritize going forward. Maybe we can get a little bit more clarity on that. All right. Okay. Any questions? Good. Next item. I could bring these up. Does everybody have the agendas? You want me to pull it up on the screen?
I can pull it up if you want.
Yeah, I don't know if I got it. Let me try to see if I can. Screen share.
Here, I got it.
Oh, there it is.
Can everyone see that?
So this is the proposed park at the old American Broach property on Jackson Boulevard, now the Suburban Dealers. Everybody know that location? It's actually right up the hill from me. My office is right down the hill from there. Stop. Do you want this?
So,
Go ahead, Will.
all right. So basically, the Suburban Collection has sort of pulled together all of these different properties. Their intent was to do a mixed use development. Actually, Jay, you probably have more information about this than I do because you're on Planning Commission. But so correct me if I've got anything wrong here. But basically, they've struggled to try and do this as a mixed use project, and so their proposal is to gift the parcel on the west end of their site to the township for use, well, for the township to use. They're thinking of it as a township park. The township could use it in any way it chose, I suppose. But the idea is that it would be a public park. It would be, it's located right near a utility easement. So just to the west of the park is a utility easement. And then I think it's that little shopping area where Fresh Forage restaurant is located right on Jackson. So that's their proposal. It's a way of sort of meeting the requirement of doing a mixed use project by including the park. The Parks Advisory Board has met and considered this, and I believe supports this idea of having a park on that site. And I can talk further sort of about how the park might work, how it might function. The representative from the Suburban Collection was open to doing some work on the site to sort of prep it so it's not just the raw land, and that's sort of open to negotiation. My hope is that if the township were to proceed and with this proposal, that we could negotiate with the Suburban Collection to do something more than just clear the land, but that's only possible if this is going forward. The hope is that the DDA would lend its voice, support for this idea, and I guess that's it in a nutshell.
So I've done quite a bit of research on this because being on Planning Commission, this came to me early, and that in Suburban is very actively trying to sell this proposal to the township. You have to realize that the as you're looking at your screen, that about the right half of that property is not in the DDA district, and the left part is in the DDA district. And that would mean that this park is in the DDA district. And the Suburban is represented that in a Planning Commission meeting that this property is probably worth as much as maybe $1 million, which I called a local commercial real estate broker, and he said, yeah, absolutely not. basically because to the north is I-94. To the south is Jackson Boulevard. To the west is ITC, high tension power lines and towers. And to the east is a topographic change as you pull in that driveway of 8 feet going up to the Mercedes-Benz site that you see there. And then the building is another 20 feet high. So as a park, you would be looking to the east at 30 feet of building and up to an 8-foot topographic change towards the back of the property. It kind of wheels around. There's about a 5-foot topographic change. In addition, the developer, Suburban, has represented in a meeting, I believe there's like 900 and some parking places on this site, and that the manufacturers really want them to have more like 1,200. And my question has been in my brain, why don't they develop this as more parking for their vehicles, if that's what they really need? So I consider that they're trying to just really, I personally, I ran some quick numbers, and if this property, if it's an SEV of 500,000, that's what they claim it is, we would lose $5,000 in our tax incremental revenues the first year. That would be from our DDA income. So, you know, if it's worth 500,000, we'd be losing $2,500 a year in perpetuity for that not being developed. Plus, any development that put on that property goes back onto our tax incremental revenue. So, if someone were to put a 500,000, say there was $1 million building on that property, the land and the building, we'd be losing $5,000 a year in tax incremental revenues. So, I guess the point is that personally, I don't consider it a desirable location for a park. There are other parks in the area. They just aren't right in the middle of Jackson Boulevard. There was discussion about that maybe being a location for some kind of a sewage pump, and I've checked into that. And there's the township's in the middle of doing a force main study for peak flow for sewage and a basin to detain sewage during peak flows. And their pumping station is just down by the PNC Bank, and that this probably most likely wouldn't be a necessary location for any utilities expansion. So we would no longer receive our tax incremental revenues for this property. In addition, I'm concerned that we will be expected as DDA to develop this park. And I suppose if the developer wants to keep this on the tax rolls, develop it as a park, and give the township an easement to use it, I mean, that might be acceptable. But you just have to go drive into the driveway and take a look at it. It is all trees, which is a good reason they want to get rid of it. And it's topographically challenging, which is another good reason that they might want to get rid of it. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Questions?
I'm looking at the Google Maps. It doesn't bump up to Fresh Forage. It bumps up to the hot tubs place,
Yeah,
right?
right. It's right there behind me.
Yeah, in between a neighborhood and then I know the building that they have. Yeah.
It's actually in between. That's the utilities easement, a great big ITC transmission line, power transmission line easement.
It's on the west side of the property.
Where would you even park to go to the park?
Exactly. Somebody would have to develop parking space, parking. I don't know, but it's almost 3 acres. It's over 2 acres.
I just don't want to go to those parks you drive by and say, why'd they put a park there?
Yeah.
But I like the idea of open space there, leaving the trees there. But I don't know why we just can't tell them to keep it open space and then they pay the tax on it.
Well, so I should explain this idea came up, I think originally maybe late 2019, early 2020. So at that time, I was the chair of the Parks Advisory Board, and Jack Knowles, the fire supervisor, brought me in to talk about it. So this idea has floated, had been floated for quite a while, and the thinking that Parks Advisory Board thinking on this is that actually there aren't that many public parks in this area. I mean, if you think about it, the playgrounds that exist are neighborhood playgrounds. If you were to try and go into polo fields, for example, and use the playground there, they generally are that, you know, it's outsiders using neighborhood playgrounds are not really welcomed. So this would be a way of offering, if it were to develop to include a play area and a place where people could sit and eat, and possibly, you know, this is one of the thoughts I had is if the Suburban Collection extended their Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi out to include the park, it would be an attractive place for people to come and sit and possibly even work. But I think the potential for synergy with the businesses along the Jackson Road corridor, I think is something that's important to think about, because there aren't that many places where you can, you know, say, pick up a sandwich, go take your kids, and they can play after having had lunch, you know, on a playground. There just really aren't that many options. We don't have that many options. We're talking about creating one behind Township Hall,
Right.
A play structure there. But that's, you know, this would be, you know, another option for people, you know, a mile or so away and closer to some of the businesses on Jackson Road. So I that's the kind of that kind of use of it that I was thinking of. That the trees that are on it, I went down there and walked the site this weekend. It's almost all, it looks, I'm not an expert, but they look like invasive species. It looks like buckthorn and autumn olive and, you know, some scrub trees. There's a few large pine trees towards the sort of north end of the site. But for the most part, I think you wouldn't lose much by clearing the site and making it more of an active use kind of park. And I think we might be able to negotiate with the Suburban Collection to do a lot of the development of it as a park, especially if they saw the value of it in a kind of a, you know, synergistic way with their own business. Because I know, you know, people bringing their cars to be serviced, you often have to, you know, wait. And if there was, you know, a nice weather, a nice place to sit near where you're getting your car serviced, you know, that would be a plus.
Any other questions?
Yes, why are they getting rid of it? It seems like every dealer down Jackson is starved for space and they have it, and now they're almost getting rid of almost 3 acres when they, and as Jay said, that they more likely need close to 1,200, so that would add a considerable amount of space for the 200 they're missing.
Isn't it, because, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it because this is a mixed use zoned area, so they have to come up somehow, they have to solve that puzzle of presenting this as a mixed use development?
Well, they considered a community benefit that they're going to donate. They're going to provide a community benefit. But when they take away from our tax income, when our revenues as DDA, that's like a negative impact to DDA.
So mixed use, why wouldn't they go PUD and keep it?
They've tried to do a PUD. 2 or 3 years ago, they brought something in, wasn't it, Will? And basically their idea of a mixed use was they'd put some office, they'd put car dealerships in office. And then upon questioning, the office was the offices for the car dealership. And so they've been running this scam for a while about how are we going to do this. And, you know, so this is the latest, and I've received several emails, knowing that I'm on Planning Commission and part of DDA to put the pitch on this. But, you know, I mean, there's people, just don't think people aren't aware of some of the parks. Let me put it this way. I think there's better places for a park than this. I'm not necessarily in favor of having parks in the DDA district because it affects our tax incremental revenues. But I mean, I pictured myself pulling in there and looking at tension lines, 30-foot building, expressway, noise. I mean, I've ridden my bike up and down the Jackson Boulevard, and it's not relaxing at all. You know, it's sort of like, man, I got to go home and take a rest. So that's where I am with it.
It would be definitely a different kind of park for Scio Township. Most of our parks are sort of arrayed along the Huron River, or they're, you know, nature preserves where people go for, you know, a long walk in the woods. This is going to be more of an urban location, more of an urban park. There's no denying that. So this is, you know, and in some ways, in order to sort of see this as a park, you have to sort of shift gear and think about a different kind of park, you know, kind of parks that exist in downtowns. And I guess my point of view is that the DDA is, you know, yes, you have to be conscious of the, you know, the taxes, that are being paid into the DDA. But I think also we have to think about the DDA's mission of how to create an attractive commercial district. And an attractive commercial district should include, in my view, public open spaces that that sort of work, you know, hand in hand with the businesses that make up the commercial district. So I hear what you're saying, Jay, and your concern about the lost revenue. Right now, this parcel, like several others along the Jackson corridor, is vacant, so it's not generating that much. I think, experimenting with creating a public open space and giving the township a potential resource for the future, if we do have to put in some kind of a utility, I don't know, I'm not an expert on all of the utilities, but if we did have to put something in that provided sort of a booster station for the sewage line or the water line along Jackson Road, I mean that's something that we would have where we don't have property right now. I know that's just a potential selling point, but I think the real selling point from my view is offering people an amenity that we don't have now. And while there might be other sites that would be preferable, we're not being offered those sites. This is the site that we're being offered.
Well, we do want a lot up on the corner of Stabler and Jackson. That's about an acre. I guess my concern is, I could support doing something with the property behind Township Hall, because I think that's, whether that goes to more of an active park, because there's already parking. Part of my point is seems to be an abundance of parking back there. And maybe that's where it'd be a better investment for some kind of a play park in the township. In addition, I'm not sure that once the homeless move into this park, that I'm going to even want to go there. I hate to go there, but that's, we saw what we had to do at Wagner Road and the little triangle on the expressway with fences, because that became a real community. So, this is deep enough that, I've used to have some warehouse out on Meddy Drive, and it was amazing the number of people that came out in that vicinity on their way to wherever they were at the expressway. And if they could be a little closer in, I think they would be.
Jay, what's going on with Doug Fox's property across the street there? That's still open. That'd be a good spot for a park.
Doug spent quite a bit of money to buy that from DDA, from the township after it was
again, for those who don't know, there was a potential road going from Jackson Boulevard to Park Road, but it never happened. It's not going to happen, and I think Doug Fox got the property back.
Well, because of the amount of fill on the westerly side of that property, there was part of that property was vacated. It was a road turnout that came off Park Road coming back to Jackson Boulevard by where our nets used to be. And there's decent soils in there, but as you get to the west, as I recall from being an old guy, I believe the Waterman Gym, Dill Kroll buried the Waterman Gym there, and the soil boring can verify that there's a lot of wood and concrete and stuff buried there. So for a parking lot or for a park, that may be a decent piece of property. And, I think it'd be between Park Road and Jackson Road, as opposed to be between the expressways, so to have substantially less noise.
Right.
But
So
again,
we'll
it's
take a vote in a
in the
minute.
DDA district, and it can be developed.
Yeah, and the DDA, we're just looking for support. We don't make the decisions. The planning commission makes decisions. He's just asking for support if we did think that was a good spot for teenagers to hang out at.
What if the DDA's, because what I hear from the conversation is that there's skepticism about this being actually developed as a park. What if the DDA's position was, if the suburban collection was willing to, go beyond simply donating the land to investing in making it into a park that could be usable. So for example, putting in the parking lot, and putting some money towards a shelter and a playground, so that it wasn't just something that the township was then going to be burdened with that might not get developed right away. Clearing the scrub trees, so that it wasn't places where people could hide, I guess, is what you're talking about, Jay.
Who would maintain that then going forward, even if they did make the investment for the infrastructure?
Well, the township has a 10-year millage for parks and pathways, and that money is meant to help with the maintenance as well as the development of the parks and pathways. So that would be my answer. That's, once it was a park and it was part of the park system of the township, that it would be under the umbrella of that sort of funding source. It's not something where we would be turning to the DDA and saying, we expect you to maintain this. I think the DDA has made clear that it draws the line at maintenance anyway, right?
It's statute.
Right.
Yeah. So, Will, are you suggesting that maybe we tell Suburban that they keep the land and develop a park there that is open for public use, and that it's still their property, and that basically that'd be their community benefit?
No,
they would regrade it, take the trees out, regrade it, put in a parking lot, et cetera, as part of their project?
No, what I was saying is that we would accept the gift as they have proposed it, but that it would be a message from the DDA, and in fact, it would be my message to them on behalf of the township as well, that in order for it to really be a useful community benefit, we would look to them to shoulder the burden of not just clearing a portion of the site or all of the site, but actually investing something in making it a usable public amenity. So putting in parking and at least investing something towards, if not covering the total cost of putting in a shelter and a playground, so that it families could begin to use it right away. I mean, it's easier for them to do that as a part of their development up front than it is to come back later and do it, or for the township to come back later and do it. It's much easier to do it up front, I think. And if they saw it as an extension, a benefit to them, I think we could sell it. And frankly, I don't know that much about car dealers, but my impression is that the Suburban Collection is a pretty good community partner, compared with some other businesses. I think it's reasonable to expect that they might play ball.
Any other questions? So again,
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So with the mixed use, if they kept it, they maintained it as a park, would that qualify?
I don't know what the rules are for that.
And that they want their deal, they want the dealers, this is what they have to do it. And I know the township wouldn't have the property at that point, but they keep it, they maintain it, they contribute it as a park. The maintenance is off the township, it's still on the tax rolls. And there's a park. Is that a possibility?
I don't know.
It's a possibility. It's just a matter of whether they reject the idea, I guess.
And like you said, it's a tough location.
Mark, what they're looking for is they're looking to go to straight, is it C4 zoning, I think, Will, for an auto dealership. I think they're looking to be, it's a mixed use now. And what they're asking for is basically going to straight to C4.
Why do they have to lose the property to go to C4? I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
Well, it would make it a mixed use if they kept that as a park, because that would be, right, wouldn't it, Will?
I don't know what the rules
I don't know for sure either, but it seems like that'd be the mixture of the use.
Why do they have, if they're going to go to if they go to C4, if they lose the property, what's the difference with 2.7 acres for mixed use versus adding the 2.7 into C4?
We lose tax revenue for DDA.
Well, I'm saying if they keep the property, why isn't the whole property C4? I just don't understand, if they can go to C4 with a smaller piece of property, why can't they go to C4 with a larger piece of property?
True. I think maybe because it depends. If the park makes it a mixed use, then they'd flip to a PUD. Otherwise, it'd be some kind of restriction that it never could be developed. So, it's something that we'd have to talk to Doug about.
Jay, it doesn't always happen though, if someone wants rezoning, that they always give something up to get the rezoning.
No.
So in order for them to get the rezoning, giving the Scio the 2 acres for a park, isn't that normally what developers do anyways?
No, it depends on what the master plan is and what the changes are going on in the township at the time. For instance, the master plan is not completed yet. This might get tagged as C4 in the master plan and get approved. Don't know.
Right, just depends on the zoning.
Right.
Again, all we're doing is trying to see if the DDA supports the idea of a park at that location. And we don't approve it. The planning commission does that. So, so the motion is just, does the DDA support an idea of a park at that location? And do we have
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's take a vote here. Will, say
Aye.
aye. All those any other ayes? All those opposed say nay. Nay.
Hey.
Hey,
Nay's got it. So we're not going to support that at this time. But we appreciate the opportunity to look at that. It's a creative idea. Just I think we support parks, obviously, just the location of them. So, right, we need a food truck somewhere else.
And I would like to say that that's something we should look into as part of our project plan.
Yeah.
How many A's were there and how many nays? I didn't hear.
There was 1 for, and the rest against. I think
I thought there was more than me that was for it, but
Oh.
Yeah, you and Will.
Oh, so there were 2 for it.
Two for it.
okay.
All right. And we could look at that again if something changes. All right. Next item. The Brownfield Grand. Well, let's bring everybody up to speed on this one.
Okay. All right. I'm just shift gear here. So there's a property on Jackson Plaza, 78 Jackson Plaza. It's it's sort of towards the back of the site, located kind of south of the session room. It's an industrial site, and it's part of a campus that Holmes Brewery is sort of putting together. They intend to use the site as a production and and kind of bottling packaging facility for a beverage that they're developing. The problem is that the site has a environmental contamination issue, and they asked the township on very short notice to support, well, actually to apply, because it's the government entity that has to apply for a brownfield grant, not a tax increment kind of brownfield, but an outright grant from the state, from Eagle, for mitigation of this environmental problem. It's a vapor intrusion issue within the building. So it's a grant of over $300,000. And this happened with about 24 or 40 hours notice before they had to submit the initial grant application. So I consulted with Bob about this, and sort of he and I together evaluated whether this made sense. Bob was confident about it. Well, I can let you speak for yourself, Bob, but my sense was that the nature of the application and the sort of the preliminary sort of testing of the water, that Bob was comfortable with us sort of going forward with this. So on behalf of the DDA, I signed application for this grant application to sort of see whether the state was open to providing this support. The state evidently jumped at it, and so I mean, I think my sense is they must have had this site on a list that they were hoping to do something for, and so it looks as if this grant is going through, and these funds will be coming. So now the question, I guess, is sort of after the fact, does the DDA support this? The question in some ways is, how will this grant be administered? So the way that it works is the funds come to the township or the DDA, and are then dispersed to the business for the environmental cleanup and mitigation, remediation.
So again, Will did call me. It was rather quick, but I've been a fiscal agent, it's called, before for some U of M projects. And all we do is we just facilitate the holding of the funds and then pass it on. So they're gonna send us checks or want to be reimbursed quarterly. And between Maureen and I think Newtan could help out. She's got some accounting backgrounds. We can facilitate the funding from the state to them. All we are is a funding mechanism. It doesn't cost us any money, and actually we might get a little bit of the grant for facilitating that project and helping with it. But we'd have to look at their bills. They have to pay for them and then get reimbursed, and then we would approve them and give them the funding and just hold the money. It's about $300,000. Jay.
Well, how's the township feel about this? Because ultimately, anything DDA does, I mean, the township has the ultimate responsibility. And if I feel like if the township's good with that, and we're just the people that have to kind of review it, I'm totally good with it.
The township, actually, the board met after this, and so I brought it to the board. The board approved the grant. There was some grumbling about my sort of seizing the initiative and getting out ahead of things, but people, the board eventually, did approve the grant application. There is a question I should point out between the board and the DDA about the administration of it. So, whether it should be handled by, Sandy and Rebecca, the finance staff at the township, in terms of overseeing the grant located with with the DDA itself. So that's one question that's sort of out there. And I guess if the DDA feels strongly about it, we can communicate that back to the Board of Trustees. But
I mean, we've got two people with good accounting skills. Obviously, Sandy can help. I just don't want to commingle any funds. I want to stay in the DDA. We can, and I read it. We got to reimburse them quarterly. It's not. And again, I know we're not working in Scio headquarters, but these business people can definitely administer some of these checks.
Well, and Sandy would be,
Yeah.
Sandy would handle this.
From Jeff. I got Jeff muted over there. Oh, go ahead,
This
Jeff.
is,
Hit it again.
Very well. Just question is, so is the environmental oversight, the actual work oversight, is there any responsibility for the DDA on that, or will the consultants who are both designing the remediation and implementing it, is that all taken care of?
the consultants do the environmental, the DDA doesn't have to do anything with the actual sort of oversight of the environmental cleanup.
So we're purely making sure that there is verification the work was completed, that the work was, somebody else has said it's completed, it was to specifications, release the money. And if that's the case and it's funded by the state, that's a fantastic deal in my mind. I don't have any reservations.
Yeah, we're just the fiscal agents, and it is. I thought I sent that ahead, but I'll send you all the paperwork that Will signed, and you can read the contract. But we're not. Yeah, we're just reimbursing them from the grant that they got and applied for from the state of Michigan. So it is. I think it's a win-win.
I do too.
I move that we.
so is the grant coming to Scio Township, or is the grant coming to Scio DDA?
It's I applied on behalf of the DDA as the CEO of the DDA.
Okay. Okay.
So basically the money, as I understand it, the money comes from the state. It sits in our account as a fiduciary to Homes. Homes does the work and we reimburse Homes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it's 300 grand from the state to clean up environmental issues in Scio Township.
Yep.
Good.
All right.
And then Maureen, you and I think Newtown with Sandy can administer that quarterly.
Okay.
Jay is
We don't have to put our work boots on and go check to see if the work's done, but you might want to.
I'd like to make a motion if everybody's done with discussion.
Go ahead.
So I move that the DDA acts as the fiscal agent for the Brownfield Grant for the property located at 78 Jackson Plaza for Homes Brewery.
Second.
Good. Well, we're just got to make sure it's just in the Homes. It's not going to be like a restaurant like Sessions, right? It's more of a working facility. I think they're making beer there.
No, they do have a coffee shop there, coffee and stuff. And I can't remember, what is it? Well, 23 seats or 30 seats or something like that.
That's a separate issue.
That's not related.
Yeah, if the DDA wants to take up that issue, that's sort of a separate issue. It's a different part of the facility.
Just to answer Bob's question,
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
Can I get a volunteer to come out and make sure that the work is done? Because I don't know enough about that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, you'll talk to the environmental firms and then they'll give you the receipt of the work done. And I think if you need help looking at that, we can definitely find someone.
I'm happy to help as well.
We could organize a visit to their tasting room just to make sure everything.
Well, the Session people are just worried about the parking lot issue, but that's between you guys. But
well, then we can all get together, do a walk around and go for a beer.
Okay.
All those in favor of the DDA acting as a fiscal agent only for that project, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Yeah, that's a win-win. That's a good one. So next I've got, before we get to discussion items, review a draft of the master plan for the DDA. So Jennifer, because she's so talented and it's kind of what she does for a living, put together a draft. I don't think we got a lot of time to go through it now, but I've been told by Scio that we need to update our master plan because it is 2006 on the website. A master plan helps us guide us a little bit on projects we can help. I think we're all familiar now what projects we can and can't do, and we're looking at. I like to keep it a little loose just so we can, just like this Brownfield example. That's a great example. They needed help. We can help them today. So I don't like master plans that lock us into certain monies going here and here, but it is good to have that out there and the public seeing what we can and cannot do. So Jennifer's going to forward us this between now and the next meeting, a draft, and we can all work on it. We might have a private session just on the master plan, some visioning sessions. We were going to do this before last summer, before the pandemic hit, so we might pull that up again. But and again, putting the first draft out, Jennifer takes all the risk, going to get criticized, all that stuff. But it's, that takes guts, and I appreciate her doing that, the legwork on that. So you'll get that between now and next meeting. We might work on that individually and then come together somehow to approve it. Hopefully we'll have a master plan that works with the Scio's major master plan for the DDA.
Does
Any
Jennifer
questions
have,
on that?
does Jennifer have any comments for us before she sends it out? I'd like to.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, what I did is I basically scoured the previous one, and I actually had, I think, literally 20 questions back to Bob when we sat down a couple weeks ago so he could answer and I could have a better understanding. What I'm going to send out is very ugly. I have cut and paste of previous elements that will probably stay the same, but you're going to see yellow highlights. What I was trying to understand, and so we can document, is what's the goal? Why are we doing what we're doing? Like when we say we commit to safety, what does that mean? Is it more sidewalks? Is it we're doing that through development? Like just so we have a better direction to help us with decision making. And then what I don't understand is the roles and responsibilities. And maybe some of it goes in the strategic plan and maybe just goes in some instructions so we can get people up to speed on how things occur and they know how to work with the DDA. So you're going to see a bunch of yellow highlighted items and like, what do these statements mean? Why are we doing it? And then how do we do it? And some of that will obviously come out in strategic plan and what we want to try and accomplish in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. And that's really it. It's really ugly. So don't expect anything amazing.
It's not that ugly. It's a great start. And
it's got a lot of questions in it.
Right.
And then as a team, we can figure out what actually goes into it. So it's not just me, it's everyone contributing to it.
And I think there might be some rule or regulation, I guess. I'm getting some emails from the staff again at Scio that we need to update that. So we should. It's good for the community.
So I'll send it out.
There, but thank you for starting that.
Yeah, I'll send it out and just give some pointers, things to look at, pages to go to. So not amazing at all.
Well, that's great that you got it started.
Yeah,
Something.
I think it's a great start. So discussion items, again, we'll go through these kind of quick. The bus shelters, they are at the old Malloy building. They're stored there. It's very nice of them to allow us to store them there. We're waiting for the attorneys to put together the agreements with the property owners. Again, they were approved by ATT, so go ahead, AATA.
Well, I was just going to sort of jump in because this question went to the township attorney because of the easements question. And what we learned is that the person that the DDA was dealing with at AATA was not sort of that the loop didn't get closed with other people at AATA. And so they weren't unaware that this project was coming forward. And the word back to us from that person, I think a little higher up in the organization, is that ordinarily AATA does the installation of the bus shelters and then is responsible for the maintenance. This came up in part because of this question came up in part because of the easement question, but also because of the maintenance issue. And if the DDA wanted to, it might be a way of sort of resolving that maintenance issue to now look into a kind of a collaborative approach to the installation of the bus shelters and sort of see that as the handoff to the AATA in terms of the ongoing maintenance responsibility.
I'd be in favor of that.
So if that's if that's something that the DDA is amenable to, then, Bob, you and I could, work with AATA to see if we can come up with some kind of an agreement.
Have you talked to Joe at Washington Engineering about it?
I don't know that Joe's sort of completely looped in since our township attorney had the communication with AATA. I looped back to you, but I don't know that, I can't remember if Joe is part of that communication loop.
Sounds like that would be a good idea as long as we don't talk to the person that we talked to the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
If they still work there.
Yeah, I don't, you're right. Yeah, we'll leave that nameless for now.
Okay.
But there was a lot of communication. 2 vendors were chosen. Go ahead and do it. I got the emails, and I don't know if that person is still there. So, all right, we'll look into that. But that's just the update. So It's going forward though, and I've already gotten some thank yous to the DDA for supporting that project. So I think it'll be popular with the township.
It's a much needed feature.
Yeah. Great to see people out there in the rain. All right, update on the South Z pedestrian path and possible road enhancements. I haven't been involved in these lately. The DDA was involved a little bit in the beginning of the phases, and then they're looking for possible funding, and the finalization isn't done yet or even close to it, but still gathering information. But is there any update there, Will?
South Z pedestrian path.
No, I think that would be actually probably north.
Oh, okay. I was trying to picture where the
My
south.
bad.
There has been discussion about a need for a sidewalk along a portion of South Seab, so I thought maybe that's what that was.
No.
North Sea pedestrian path. So is this the conversations about the bridge and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that that's progressed much farther. It did come up at Board of Trustees meeting. And by that point in the meeting, it was very late. And so it got tabled without a tremendous amount of discussion. But there are some concerns that were expressed by people in the neighborhood. I think, ironically, the reason that we brought it up to the Board of Trustees was to proceed with a kind of a community engagement process, but it sort of stalled at that point. At some point, we're going to revive an opportunity, create an opportunity for more public input on the concept. But the concept is to, as it stands, is to create kind of a boulevard approach for that portion of the road north of I-94 to solve some of the problems with the turning and traffic flow. The pedestrian improvements would be getting people across I-94 on the existing bridge by making some changes to the bridge, make that safer for people either on foot or cyclists, and connect, of course, to the Zebra Road pathway that's under construction heading towards the border-to-border trail along the river.
Any questions from the board? Again, it's just, we've got some blight over there in that corner, and there's no, what I've under in the last year, Washington Road Commission won't let anything happen in that area until the road's fixed. So there's got to be some kind of agreement or something with the road commission, the township, and trying to get that area fixed. So.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think what we were reminded of at the Board of Trustees when this came up is that it really we need a process to engage public input and have that reflected in whatever the plans are that we come up with.
Good. We'll keep working on that. Any other questions? And then the C is just an email to be sent to the trustees. I sent you the pictures of those signs. I'm driving my car by, taking pictures real quick. Probably not very safe, but did everybody see those? Let me see if I put this down here. So again, we voted on these before. There's one sign there. Let me go share. Can you see that? Am I doing it right? No?
No.
Hang on. There. No. I'm sharing the wrong screen.
No, we're looking at your sock drawer.
Yeah,
You're sharing the wrong
Yeah.
screen.
I know. Well, I'm not gonna. Can I go over here though? How do I go over here? Oh, that one. No. Let me share. There it is. Let's try that. How about that one?
There you go.
You see that? So again, we're talking about these directional signs. They're on the boulevard and what to do with them. We've actually on the DDA been dealing with this for a couple of years. And I think, I'm in favor of just telling the new trustees what the problem is. That obviously these signs are not working, can't see them. And in the past, we talked about either fixing them or taking them out. And the DDA in the past voted to take them out. And that went to the trustees, and the trustees says, well, some of them still work. Some old people still need the directional sign. So, I'm kind of in the favor of trying to go to the new trustees and asking them to remove these again. And again, one of our responsibilities in the DDA is keep it looking nice, beautify the area. Right? Any questions, comments?
I guess the question I have is thinking ahead to bringing this to the Board of Trustees. Is the DDA, is removal of these signs considered a maintenance cost that the DDA couldn't cover? Or is that something or is this something else besides maintenance? Is this beautification or something? I don't know.
We can do improvements, Will. So, but I'm not sure maintenance, there is the maintenance fund over there that's tagged, right, Sandy? Is there a maintenance fund that's tagged? Unmute there.
Yeah, let me try to ask you on mute.
Sandy, can you unmute?
Maybe you could go to unshare the screen. I think we get the picture.
There you go.
The township has the Boulevard Maintenance Fund, which is in Fund 245. That's what they use to mow and, pay the company that takes care of it.
And can we use DDA funds as beautifying or, right? Art is
Yes.
older.
It'd be beautifying then.
You could even make an argument that it's an improvement.
Yeah.
I agree.
Maybe we get some bids again to have them removed or have them fixed. So we present everything to the trustees, all their options.
I suppose that would be a good way to present it, is say, this is how much it would cost to remove them. This is how much it would cost to bring them back to a presentable, usable state. I mean, right now, they don't, most of them, to my eye, don't seem to be performing the intended purpose, because they're either, the information is worn off and unreadable, or the sign's just damaged and it's completely unusable.
I think that makes great sense. And then I would probably make that proposal, those bids, a 5 or a 10-year horizon, so that you can show the annual cost hereafter, including replacement and upgrading later on. If we remove them, it's just a day one cost and you're done.
Yeah, maintenance on going forward. Okay.
So, well, one of the discussions from some years back was that people use their apps to figure out where they're going now, and that the signs don't, for many of us, don't do much.
Well, I mean, part of what's challenging about this is putting yourself in the position of, you know, all the different potential users. So, you know, new people coming to Scio Township who don't know their way around, will they rely more on directional signs than, you know, than those of us who know where we're going? Do newcomers use, you know, whatever the apps on their phone or their car to find their way, rather than relying on directional signs? I don't know. I don't know what the answers are to those questions. My hunch is that you're probably right, Jay, that people don't use directional signs as much as they do apps on their phones.
So one of the suggestions was that maybe we convert some of the signs that say Parkland Plaza next left, or you know, to Ann Arbor, show them that there's a turnaround, or use them for some kind of other direction other than numbers. But that was the only other suggestion. So
those are good ideas. So why don't we just table this till next meeting, but we'll get bids to take them out and then bids to fix them. And I like Jeff's idea of having a maintenance plan for 5 or 10 years to show the trustees what it could cost going forward. But then they see it again from the beginning. Again, we've looked at this a couple of times and voted to have them removed, but.
Well, I think that is the simplest solution. But I think, you know, to present it to the Board of Trustees in a way that has a little bit more information is probably a wise way to go.
Right. All right, so we're going to table that and we'll gather more information for next meeting. But between next meeting and now, Jennifer's going to forward some items. I'll forward out the Brownfield contract and information and make sure that's on the Scio website. And again, with the Opens Meetings Act, we got to make sure everything's on there. Jack used to put the items on there before, but we just got to do it in a more timely manner. And we'll all help with that. So we all want everybody to see everything. There's nothing here that we don't want anybody to see. So if there's any questions ever, give us a call. I think a lot of our contact information is going to be on the Scio website. So if they know Jennifer or Jeff or Jay want to call them directly, or me, they can do that. So we just want, you know, ability for anybody to reach out to anybody anytime. So, all right. Any other questions for the group? Good. That was a good meeting. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Wait, Bob,
Oh, Sandy.
you gotta pay the bills, dear.
You forget about the bills. Can you bring those up? You know, I know. I don't think I put them on the.
It's not on the agenda.
Right. No bills this week. No, go ahead. Can you pull them up? I think. Can you?
Can I? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Let me see if I saw that email. Will, do you have them handy?
I don't.
I do.
You do.
Go ahead, Jay. Can you put them up
I
there?
may.
You just tell us what they are.
Yeah. Just read them off, maybe. And we'll make sure these are posted as well. Usually one for the bond, to pay the bonds.
No. What we're paying is the rest of the bus shelter
Good.
for $26,450. Fink had the lawyer had some charges to go over the Brownfield thing and the bus shelter thing. It's $387.50. OHM had a bill for the bus shelters for $465. And Washington Engineering for the bus shelters was $46.83 for a total of $31,985.
And again, the majority of that is for the bus shelters that we already approved. There it is.
Yes.
Thank you.
There you go. And then my other question is the money for the sidewalk on Parkland Plaza. Does anybody know, is Parks and Pathway going to send us some sort of communique when they want that, or are they just expecting the check?
Well, I think we approved
75,000.
I would say 70 or 75,000. I thought we already put that in last month's.
No, it's in the current fiscal year's budget.
Right. It's in the budget, but we haven't forwarded to you yet, Will.
So yeah, that's my question is, does anybody know when they're expecting that money?
I don't know what the expectation is about when the funds would transfer, or whether they're planning on sending an invoice to the DDA. What would the DDA like?
I think a written request, just so it's tracked. And then we'll just move it. Sandy moves it from one account to, right? Just like when our kids ask for money, we just transfer it from one account.
Well, we actually have to write a check because you can't just
Oh, you do?
move the money around, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but just a transfer going out and then back in.
Well, we write a check to Parks and Pathways, they deposit it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
I see.
Will, do you know when that project is gonna kick off and actually be built?
We just, I think actually, is it on, I think it's, is that the one that's on the agenda for this meeting on Tuesday? I think the construction agreement is on the agenda for Tuesday. So probably information is in, in the current meeting packet for the Board of Trustees. But I don't have it on my.
So if we don't pay them before July, that'll be okay? You think? Because July is the next meeting.
Do we have, so we would have to, the DDA would have to approve the payment of the invoice from the township?
The DDA has already approved it. But we try to only cut checks around meeting time.
Oh, I see.
Which invoice are we talking about?
This is for the Parkland Plaza sidewalk project.
I just didn't know when Parks and Pathways was expecting that money. Because nobody said.
Right. Well, I guess if that's the practice, then we'll just have to, between now and July's DDA meeting, we'll have to get the invoice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it'll be paid at that time.
As long as
Okay.
it's tracked. Yeah, we've already approved it.
Yep.
So does everybody see the other bills that need to be approved? Again, most of it's for the bus shelters. Consultants, OHM's on there again. I'm not sure what that fee is for, but
There was legal in there too.
yeah. The legals for the consult, he's got to write the contracts for the property owners for the bus shelters. So he thinks charging us for that. I don't know what OHM is charging us for again, Will.
I didn't see it.
There's some engineering or something.
Give me a minute.
I don't know if they were on that call for this one.
2.5 hours for Matt Parks and 3 3/4 hours for Sally Boss.
They were on the call that we had when we discussed it, at least Matt was. I don't remember about Sally.
And it might
Yeah,
be,
but we weren't paying this whole invoice. We were only paying $465 of it.
Oh, we are?
And God honestly, I can't remember how that came about, but
They were on that Parks and Pathways call, but again, we didn't request them to be on there. And they do kind of show up and then bill us afterwards. Kind of like what Mark was saying, we shouldn't do to the owners on Enterprise Drive.
sometimes you just got to do it, Bob.
We can do this because this is the second time, but I'm gonna talk to them because, I just think they need to be forward and what's their rate? I mean, maybe Will knows on other projects, but I don't know as the DDA. What the rate is, what they're gonna charge us an hour. We had this problem when I was on the DDA, we had that before with, the landscape committees and the Jackson, they would show up to our meetings and then bill us for their time.
Well, we didn't need 2 of them. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Right.
All of us time's valuable too. I don't know why, we're not billing DDA. Maybe we should start. No. All right, so we'll approve all the bills as written. And Sandy,
Yep.
right? So that.
you gotta take a vote. You gotta do a roll call vote for bills.
All right. All those in favor of voting for the bills, say aye. Jennifer,
Here, aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Jay,
Yes.
Mark. You got the dog going.
I did,
Maureen?
yes.
Yes.
All right. Stites, yes. Anybody else? Oh, we got everybody.
So
All right, motion passes.
motion passes. Bob, I noticed that there's a member of the public with their hand raised. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I don't see that on my, oh, yeah. You want to do that? I think they, let's go. Ask on you. We'll see what they have to say. Usually they got a comment at the beginning of the meeting.
Hi, this is Rob Pattinson. I've got a question about the bus shelters, and that is, how did the bus shelters get so far along the line that they got purchased and ready for installing if the AATA didn't know about them? And if the AATA is responsible for installing and maintaining the bus shelters, why aren't they paying for it? And I realize it's a little late now. You guys have bought and paid for the bus shelters. Is there any plan to get any reimbursement from the AATA for the shelters?
AT, they don't have any money either. But there was a lot of conversation actually before. I'm trying not to throw anybody under the bus. You get the joke? But there was a lot of conversation before. They knew these bus shelters were coming in. They gave us 2 vendors to choose from. So again, I guess now the paperwork finally, we hired an engineer to do all this. It's going back to the attorney, and the attorney, without talking to me, called the AT&T, and somebody else down there didn't know about the project. So, but again, I'm not a legal expert at all, but what I've read is the liability is the biggest question on all those things. So if we can get AATA to put those together and have the liability, that would be good. But all the owners of the properties were fine with it. You know, one's going to go right in front of Myers. There's 5 different locations. The engineer, the firm did an excellent job, we think. Washnell, but they did the bus company knew it was happening. There was just some miscommunication down there between, I guess, their facilities people. Good question though. Thanks for watching too out there, all you guys. Any other questions? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Have a good week. We'll follow up with some emails. We'll put everything, the bus shop, everything we'll try to put on that website too, for the public to see as well.
Thanks, Bob, for all your
Thanks,
work.
guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, Will, for all your work.
Yep. See you
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.